Welcome back to Patriot Network TV. I want to talk to you in the context of Tuesday's election in Ohio, where voters did not help Governor Kasich restrict the extensive growth of public sector unionism. And to do this, I want to lay the predicate for it by quoting that great progressive, that great liberal, that great hero of the Democrat Party, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And FDR, in a letter that was sent in 1937 to Luther Stewart of the National Federation of Federal Employees, said the following: all government employees should realize that the process of collective bargaining, as usually understood, cannot be transplanted into public service. Now, real quickly, this is not Ronald Reagan, it's not Professor Lovell. This is FDR. What does FDR say about collective bargaining? It cannot be transplanted into public service. It has its distinct and insurmountable limitations when applied to public personnel management. The very nature and purpose of government makes it impossible for administrative officials to represent fully or to bind the employer, the American people, in mutual discussions with government employee organizations. The employer is the whole people who speak by means of laws enacted by their representatives in Congress. Accordingly, administrative officials and employees alike are governed and guided, in many instances restricted by laws which establish policies, procedures, or rules in personnel matters. Now, the great progressive FDR says you can't have public sector unions because it violates the relationship between the public sector worker and the citizen taxpayer. What happens when we allow public sector unions to stay in place and gain power both in an electoral sense and in an economic sense? What happens is you get the public union albatross. And this is an editorial written by Philip K. Howard. It's published in the November 9th Wall Street Journal, and it's describing certain criminal activities by union members because they're owed certain benefits. And I want to start with this story on the Long Island Railroad. The indictment of 7 Long Island Railroad workers for disability fraud last week cast a spotlight on a troubled government agency. Until recently, over 90% of Long Island Railroad workers retired with a disability, even those workers with desk jobs. This added about $36,000 a year to their annual pension. The cost to the New York taxpayers over the past decade is in excess of $300 million. You say, oh, well, Terry, that's just one example. Let's go to California. 82% of senior California state troopers are disabled in the last year before retirement. Pension abuses are so common. For example, they're spiking, which is where you work amazing amounts of overtime in your last year to increase the amount of your retirement. Now, what is the deal here? And I want to make this quick and simple so everybody can get it. The deal is, if you're a firefighter, if you're a policeman, if you're a school teacher, if you're a college professor like I am, I work for the citizens of the state of Arizona. It is my job to stand in loco parentis, to stand in place of the parent and love the child in the appropriate way. In this case, it's educating the child. I do not have a right to go on strike. And specifically, my right not to go on strike is enforced by the state of Arizona. When I signed my contract with my college, I had to sign a loyalty oath and a pledge that I would never actively attempt to overthrow the state of Arizona government or go on strike. Now, why is that? Because I have a higher duty. I have a fiduciary duty to my students because I'm paid a salary, because I can earn tenure, because I have a retirement. All those things obligate me to behave in a certain manner. When you have collective bargaining run amok, as it is now in Wisconsin, in Ohio, in New York, in California, the net result is 90% of retired Long Island Railroad workers going out with their pension plus disability, adding $36,000 a year to their pension. 82% of California Highway Patrol officers, pension plus disability. In a national, if we take all 50 states, we have a gigantic debt problem, unfunded liability problem with all public sector employees. Most people say over $1 trillion in unfunded liability. Collective bargaining is the cause of this. We've got to move away from it. Even FDR agrees. God bless you. God bless the United States of America.